Meanwhile, James Comer says that the Treasury Department is finally giving his panel access to the suspicious activity reports related to Hunter Biden and the Biden family's foreign business deals. The committee flagged a $3 million payment to a Chinese energy company paid by a Biden associate shortly after Joe left the vice presidency. Comer also suggesting that a third Biden family member may also be involved in this influence peddling, this alleged influence peddling. Joining me right now is the Club for Growth President David McIntosh. David, it's great to see you again. Welcome back.
Great to be with you, Maria.
So what are your thoughts on this investigation? We now understand, according to James Comer, that there was a $3 million check that went to accounts tied to Hunter Biden. And then out of that $3 million, 3 family members got a stake in that $3 million. What's going on here from your standpoint?
You know, we won't know for sure until they looked at all the documents which have been hidden prior to the Republicans gaining the House of Representatives and now being able to investigate this. But to me, it looks like it could well be that Joe Biden and the Biden family are more like the Clintons than Obama, where he served. You know, Obama was clean, didn't take advantage of his position and set up a scheme to make themselves wealthy. The Clintons did with the Clinton Foundation, and now it's looking more and more like the Biden family used their government positions to enrich themselves. Yeah. And I hope that Congressman Comer brings those facts to light.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that they're accepting money from Chinese officials tied to the Communist Party of China, and we're at a moment in time now when this president has to make decisions about the Communist Party of China, which wants to overtake the United States as the U.S. As the #1 superpower.
No, that's right. And the Chinese, quote, invested in the Biden family a long time ago. I don't think he'll be able to be a leader of the United States if he's compromised that way. It's going to be bad, rough sailing for us for the next 2 years if the president can't firmly stand up to China, that's being very aggressive in investments, very aggressive militarily, aggressive in cutting deals with terrorist countries like Iran.
Right.
We're in big trouble with a president whose family has been paid off by the Communist Party.
Right. All right. We want to talk about the trouble we may be in for the macro story and the economy here, because Signature Bank is under watch of U.S. prosecutors, and it was being looked at even before this collapse, reportedly for the bank's work with crypto clients. The Justice Department and the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, investigating how the lender was monitoring potential money laundering. David, you have a new op-ed. You say that the bank bailout is a result of Biden's failed economic policies. Tell us more. We've been talking about Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank's failures all morning.
Well, in particular, the Silicon Valley Bank, but I think a lot of regional banks invested in Treasury bonds, and the regulator said, yeah, that's safe, but everybody knew for the last 12 months the Federal Reserve is going to raise interest rates and the value of those bonds go down. So they were undercapitalized. And the Biden inflation agenda meant that the Fed had to continue raising those interest rates. And now what we're seeing is when there's a run on the bank, as there was out in Silicon Valley Bank, they don't have the capital they need to actually pay the depositors their money back. What did the Biden administration do? Rather than try to arrange a sale to a healthy bank, they just decided to come in with a bailout, and have now established that there is no limit on what the taxpayers will be on the hook for when a bank is badly managed and when the regulators fail to do their job and tell the bank they have to have enough capital.
Adam, jump in here.
Oh, thank you, Maria. David, something that troubles me going beyond Silicon Valley Bank is what happened at Signature. I was long shares of Silicon Valley Bank, and I'm not getting bailed out. I'm not asking for a bailout, but I'm certainly involved. I was not long Signature Bank, but I'm certainly very curious. Mysteriously, Signature Bank stopped trading in the middle of last week. It never reopened. There was no explanation. There's no due process. What do you make of the seizure of Signature Bank without any explanation from the government?
I think we've got to find out why, what's going on there. In the area of crypto, this government the pendulum has swung. They failed to do the regulatory duty and let Sam Bankman-Fried do this tremendous fraud with FTX, and now that it's swung the other way, where they're actually debanking legitimate Bitcoin and other companies that are not committing fraud and are in fact an alternative investment that a lot of people who don't have other finances have invested in. I wonder if they've targeted that bank simply because it was connected with some of these alternative blockchain-based companies, in which case it's clear to me it's much like what the Obama administration did, where rather than just focus on banking and regulating on economic measures, they start using policy and political preferences to guide them in what they're doing.
And that's what you wrote in your Washington Times op-ed called "Biden is enacting a new Operation Choke Point against crypto."
Yes, and they are not distinguishing between the fraudulent actors like Sam Bankman-Fried and very legitimate cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin that are self-regulated and widely decentralized so that they can't commit fraud.
Right. David, it's great to have you this morning. Thanks so much.